TSN proudly presents the most comprehensive curling coverage in Canada. It's round 11 of the 1987 Labatt Brier. And now let's bring you up to date on all the scores through round 10. British Columbia beat the Territories extra end 10-9. New Brunswick 9-5 over Ontario. Manitoba 7, Nova Scotia 5. Alberta 7-6 to beat Northern Ontario. Newfoundland 8 and PEI 7. And so here are the standings heading into this 11th round of the 1987 Labatt Brier. Newfoundland all alone in first place at 6-1. Quebec second at 5-1 after a bye in round 10. Ontario third, 5-2, and then look at the bunch at 4-3. British Columbia, the Territories, Manitoba, New Brunswick, and Alberta. Then it's PEI on the outside edge at 3-4. Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario, and still winless Nova Scotia at 0-7. Hello again, everyone. I'm Vic Rauter, and welcome to the Agricom in Edmonton as we get ready for this 11th round of 1987 Labatt Brier. And joining me, Ray Turnbull. And oh boy, what can you say? I mean, they have surprised, but they're very deserving of being where they are. They have played very well, Newfoundland.
Well, the only ones that aren't surprised are themselves, and they've been showing a lot of confidence, Vic. They look good out here, and it is a big game for them tonight. You know, they got a chance to really put a stranglehold on first place if they knock off Russ Howard tonight.
Sorry, let's go talk about Quebec. They're second place. They've played very well, Kevin Adams.
I just had a chance to talk to Kevin, and they really feel good about the way they've been playing, and they look good. I'm really impressed with their front end, and Malcolm Turner's just making everything in sight. He's got all kinds of Brier experience, and it's showing out here.
All right, those 5 rinks, all at 4-3. 4 losses. If they drop another one, you think it'll still get them to a playoff?
Well, it's an outside chance, but it's starting to look a little bit like, 3 losses is going to be there. And tonight's sort of the key night to sort of show what's going to happen. As I mentioned, Mark has a chance to really put himself in great shape. But Russ Howard, you know how I feel. I think they're one of the top teams here. So Mark will have his hands full. All
right, beyond the fact that the game is getting better across the country and Newfoundland can play as well as British Columbia or Manitoba, what is it about Mark Noseworthy and the game that he plays that has made him a first-place team so far?
Well, he shows lots of confidence, and he doesn't hesitate, and he knows the game well. That's the one thing that, that's starting to show that the teams all know how to play the game, and Mark has a good sense of timing. He waits his turn, he's a little patient, and he knows when to move, and he showed it today. They got off the hook a little bit on the 10th end today because PEI had a chance to maybe get 3 and win that game, but Mark came up with a big shot, and it takes big shots to win games.
All right, that'll be our feature game. We'll, of course, keep you up to date on all the action tonight in this 11th round, but now let's meet our 2 teams. And we start with the team from the St. John's Curling Club. From left to right, their lead is Robert Thomas, Eugene Trickett, Randy Perry, and the skip, Mark Noseworthy. And from Ontario, from left to right, the lead is Kent Carstairs, Tim Belcourt, Glenn Howard, and his brother, the skip, Russ Howard. And before we get going, let's go back to Toronto and this sports break with Michael Landsberg.
This update will have a beef
with Bo Shavy.
Welcome back, and we are live at the Agricom here in Edmonton for the 11th round of this 1987 Labatt Brier. And here are the other games in this 11th draw. New Brunswick against Prince Edward Island. Northern Ontario will play Saskatchewan on the game that will feature Newfoundland, Ontario right in the middle. Quebec will play the Territories, and British Columbia against Manitoba on Sheet E. Several big games in this one, this 11th draw, Ray, considering the fact British Columbia, Manitoba, they're both 4-3. You have second place Quebec against the Territories at 4-3. So, and then, of course, our game, Ontario, Newfoundland. So 3 big games.
Well, the BC-Manitoba game is a huge game for both those teams. And as you mentioned, Quebec Territories, those are very big games. And Mark Noseworthy has a chance to really put himself in great position to beat Russ Howard today. This should be a good game. And, I feel that Russ is, in my opinion, I said it this afternoon, and I'll say it again, he's kind of the team to beat, and we'll see how he can rebound from, the loss he took this afternoon.
Ontario has won the coin toss, and so it is Newfoundland to get us going in this 11th round with their lead, Robert Thomas, and his first stone.
Well, both teams have showed us that they can play, you know, any style of game. They're both capable of going around the stones and junking it up a little bit. I think that you'll probably see an early pattern like we've seen all week, where the teams will try and keep it fairly wide open, fairly clean, and wait their time.
Ontario with the #1 lead in this 1987 Labatt Brier, and that's Kent Carstairs and his first stone.
Yeah, you can't do much better. He's curling 86%, and on this kind of ice where it's, you know, you're just not playing wide open shots all the time, that's a terrific, terrific number.
Ontario playing the red rocks. Newfoundland the yellow, and this is the second stone of Robert Thomas.
We'll kind of see how they match up, because that's one of the things you do in curling. You kind of play against the man against you. Kent Carstairs is the top lead, and Robert is in the middle of the pack, so we'll see how things go. He's at 77%. And that's a good number. It's just that the guy across you is curling 86.
The two rinks just exchange stone to the top of the 12 as Kent Carstairs delivers his second rock.
One of the things that the curlers have been saying is that A and B and E and D run fairly well the same. The sheet that they find the trickiest is this one here, the center sheet. It's not quite as consistent. For the viewers that maybe have just, you know, are just joining us for the first time, or for those of you that really haven't had a chance to go through a whole game with us, we'll try and help you along with the ice. It's running from the inside out. You get lots of movement. Once you get across the center line, there's lots of movement in the stones. So as a result, you can bury a lot of stones behind corner guards and get lots of things going for yourself. The dangerous area in the ice is when you're going into the center line. It'll run very, very straight. It holds for a long time. And then when it hits that center line, you know, it starts to move. So, and this sheet just hasn't been quite as consistent. So we'll try and keep an eye on it for you. We'll try and maybe diagram a little bit for you and show you the certain little things that happen that make it very interesting.
The Newfoundland second is Eugene Trickett.
Actually, if you were watching that particular stone right there closely, you could see that he came out with about a foot of ice, and when he released it, it sort of drifted away a bit. Now it starts to move as it comes in, and all the stones have been doing a lot of moving as they die. Well, Russ Howard isn't going to waste any time. Tim Belcourt in his first stone, he's asked for an in-turn draw. That rock came up short of the house. I think Mark wanted it in the house. He came up a little short, and here goes Russ Howard.
Ready for line. Three. Wow. Oh, wait.
Depends on his weight now. It's really going to move here.
Back of the 8-foot.
Well, it's going to be great because, you know, Mark, you know, he has some choices. He could run his own back and try and get it that way with, you know, with Eugene Trickett's shot. But no, sir, he's going right around. So we're going to have to cross and play in this very first end. So here we go.
Wow.
Eugene Trickett and his second stone playing this first end of an 11th round game between Ontario and first place Newfoundland.
Watch it now. It really moves now. You see it come across? Good shot.
Wants it right up on top?
No, he wants it right in the face of the stone. And Russ Howard's going to get Tim Belcourt to draw right around this.
This is starting out much like the game we saw with Alberta and BC, with all those stones just clustered around the button.
When you get down to the skip stones, you won't be able to walk in that house. Is a good shot to watch the line now. It rides the center line and then it starts to move. Has he got the weight? He's got to get it by. They got to get it by. Here it goes. Just a little light, I think. Not a bad shot.
Just bites the top of the 8-foot.
One stone, really, once you make a move like Russ Howard did, and the rock slipped behind the tee line, and then Mark Noseworthy decided to go around as well to the face of it, you know, the commitment has been made, and we've got an offensive end, and those are the ends that we like Vic, because they're interesting. Lots of rocks and plays, lots of angles, lots of different shots. And the fans here at Edmonton have really been treated to some unbelievable shots. We saw a triple made yesterday by Russ Howard, a hit and roll to the forefoot by Pat Ryan, to put himself in a position to win a game. So it's really been unbelievable.
This is the first stone of the Newfoundland third, Randy Perry.
Now in the 9th and 10th end today, or the 10th and 11th end today in their game against PEI, Randy really, whizzed 2 stones, and I'm not picking on him. It's just that he has a tendency sometimes to really step his weight up, and you really have to be careful when you do that on this kind of an ice surface, because especially when you're going from from the outside in, because the rocks will straighten right up and even drift back a little bit. We saw that on 2 occasions. There's a hole there.
Just peel?
Just peel, he says. I think so. Now this is the out turn. You can see Russ will take ice at about the edge of the rock.
And the point of the peel here is just to get himself open it up a little. It's closing up too quickly.
Yeah, he really can't. There's a little hole there, but he can't raise his own stone up. He can't get to it on the nose to push it up. So he'll take this off and see what Mark's going to do. And if Mark doesn't make the good shot or put it back, then he'll be able to raise his own stone. What Mark can do, however, in that situation is he'll come around his own long guard and get to the top of the forefoot and lie to. We'll diagram it for you in a moment. We'll just take a look at this shot and see what happens first. Vic.
This is the Ontario third, Glenn Howard, the younger brother of the skip Russ. Russ 31, Glenn 24.
See how it drifts out? You step your weight up at all, you're really in trouble.
And it drifts right on through.
Out here somewhere.
Glenn's just checking with Russ. Maybe just put it back, and if you put them back like that, boy, they really go.
He started it a bit, but just went all the way in the hand. He threw a few out here that fell. I think he was waiting for the call for you to still make it.
Well, you heard Russ talking to Glenn. He says, you just started it a bit, and when they do that, they really get going. And you're right.
The second stone for the Newfoundland third, Randy Perry.
Well, Mark's going to come down. I think he's going to come down through this hole. He just wants a guard. He just wants it over, block this hole. It's kind of interesting, because he could come through with the out turn through that hole and maybe get to the top of the forefoot to lie too, but maybe he'll wait, see what Russ does. Obviously he'll wait.
Actually, it's not bad if I can come through and split it. Wouldn't be bad, you could pump it to here.
Okay.
I like it.
It'll bend.
He's going to try through the hole, I think, Vic. He has to bend a long way to be able to roll to push that stone to the forefoot. But he'll get his rock in there. He doesn't mind giving up 1 point here, as long as he doesn't give up 2. Here's the call. Make sure you're here, Glenn.
Russ puts down the brush for his brother Glenn and his second stone. Newfoundland in a position right now to steal 1. Got it through.
Just chipped the front one. A little light maybe too, because you heard You heard Russ yell down, make sure you're here. Well, when that stone of Tim Carstairs slipped behind the tee line and Mark put one on top of it, it really changed his end around. There was a chance for, Russ obviously wanted to take a run at getting 2 points, but now it's a good chance for Mark to steal one here.
23, so super light, hey? Super clean.
Indication that it's really running quickly.
That's for sure. He's just going to block this hole. He certainly did that.
So he cuts off the center.
Good eye, son. Yeah. Oh, you got to that red one.
Well, all Russ has really got is his angle raised, and I think that's what he's going to play.
We just guard it. Guard over here, so he can't take 2.
He's going to come down like so. Not like that. It's easy that way. And drive this one into this area here.
It's almost like a boomerang shot.
It's a very sensitive little machine, isn't it?
The first stone for the Ontario skip, Russ Howard. Look at the concentration.
He's got the line. We got to bring it all the way. It's starting to work a little bit. Has he got the weight, Vic? It's very close. They got to hurry to get it there. Just, he had perfect line, just a little light.
He took about 3 or 4 whatever. He took about 3 towards Royce. Yeah, I'm talking about just a fraction of 20. Yeah, only throwing the guard. Covers anything he's at a dog, can't do it. As long as my shooter covers any piece of that red rock, he hasn't got a shot.
That's exactly right, Mark. If his shooter covers any piece of that raised, then Russ really doesn't have a shot except maybe a double raise.
Will it be a little bit stickier down there, Gene? Anywhere over the hard line, as long as we cover a piece of these rocks.
Turn, guard, wants to cover any part of that stone that Russ just threw.
This is the final stone for Newfoundland playing this first end.
I think he hogged it. He still has to play a double raise. The only nice thing about it, he's raising his own stone. I think that's all he's got. So he really can't do any harm.
Well, I am probably, close to 10 feet. I figure it's pretty 15 feet. How'd I throw it? Same shot.
He's going to play the same shot, come down like so, hit this one, onto this one, push it into this area here.
But now to move 2 stones, what kind of weight does he have to throw?
Well, yeah, you heard him talking about he's going to throw more weight. He's curled too much. Had the right weight.
And so it will be a steal of 1. And Newfoundland, first place Newfoundland, takes a quick 1-0 lead over Ontario here in this 11th round at the 87 Labatt Brier.
This quality moment in sports is brought to you by Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment. Quality is job one. Ford proudly salutes the ultimate in performance and success. Tuesday night, Edmonton, round 8 at the Brier. Ontario's Russ Howard facing 2 Saskatchewan counters. He has to get by the guard to make the double knockout. Russ Howard goes on to beat Don Gardner of Saskatchewan 8-7.
Here are the other scores in this 11th round of the Labatt Brier. New Brunswick leading PEI 1-0 as they go to the second. Saskatchewan and Northern Ontario are still playing. That's the last rock now coming up for the Saskatchewan skip, Don Gardner. In our game, the steal of 1 by Newfoundland has given them a 1-0 lead over Ontario. Quebec and the Territories have blanked the first end, now playing 2. And Manitoba in a very big game with British Columbia, both ranks 4 and 3, Manitoba taking 1 in the first. This is the second stone of the Newfoundland lead, Robert Thomas.
He's a little heavy. Mark wanted it out in front because he put his first one out in front, and Russ ran it off.
It stops in the back of the 8.
And this one slips into the rings. So Russ Howard.
Kent Carstairs and his second stone.
Kent Carstairs going to freeze to the face of it. Punches it right out. It's always nice to steal a point that first end. Makes you feel kind of good. You lost the flip, but you got the point. Watch the ice closely. Here's the in-turn hit.
He peels it off, and the shooter goes out as well. So the house once again wide open.
Yeah, Russell put up the corner guard now, I think.
Gotta ask Russ if he knows another song.
That's right.
He's been whistling "We Are the World." Seems like forever.
Let's watch this rock now, Vic, because this is the rock that's right down the center line, and so it should really move. Just as it starts to die, it'll ride the center line, the brushes will hold it up.
That's the first stone for Tim Belcourt.
And there it goes, right there, see? You know, in about 10 feet, it came over 4 feet. Mark's not going to fool around with it. He's going to try and spill it off. Split the stone off and lose the shooter. Whoa! Playing straight turn. Right up the rock, Gene.
Eugene Trickett does the job and peels it off again.
We'll watch Gino throw this. Good flat swing. Pretty good balance.
But usually you know, your brush is on the ice surface, isn't it?
Gino throws with the ice, and his foot's very, very flat on the ice, and he's just using the rim a little bit for balance, and he went to the ice with it when he first came out, but then he had his balance, so they went up in the air. Russ will try the other side. What time is it in Newfoundland right now? It's a late start down there.
Don't overthrow it.
Yeah, there's a half-hour's difference, or half-hour difference, and I was thinking 3 hours Toronto, 1 hour more.
Boy, it's late, eh? Good shot.
I'd say about 11:30 at night.
It's going to be a late night for some of those folks. But they're watching a team that's 6-1 and certainly is deserving of being at 6-1 because they've really played tremendous. And Mark came up with a big shot today against PEI because in that 10th end he was in danger of losing it. He was up 2 coming home without last rock, and at one point they were lying 3 on him.
The first stone for the Ontario third, Glenn Howard, playing the second end, with Newfoundland leading Ontario 1-0 on a steal.
Hard.
Well, you can see that Mark's not going to fool around. He's going to get Randy to split this off as well.
Randy Perry at his second stone. Nose hit, maybe. Gets the roll to the outside.
It's a pretty good shot. It's not, you know, Russ could duck around that, and he probably will attempt to, but he's going to just have there's so much movement there. They're very easy to, you know, they're not hard to get to. There's the call.
Second shot for Glenn Howard.
It's Glenn's out turn. It's a little bit of a frost line down there, so you have to give it a little bit extra, and it really goes. You got it there? It's just, you can see how much it moved. It just dug in and really moved on him. Mark will play his first stone to the other side, to the wide open side, and stay away from there.
Oh, that's funny.
Well,
You're full on the reins.
We're T-line. We make it. We're edge of it.
Have your weight, though. You're perfect, really, Glenn.
Slow over there.
The same thing happened to me. Weight still 23 down the middle?
Yeah, down the middle here.
.23 down the middle.
The Newfoundland skip, Mark Noseworthy, and his first stone.
You know, Mark finished 6-6 in the Brier in 1982, so you know it's obviously he came here, to, you know, just not to participate. He came here to win, and felt that he could, and his record certainly shows that. This is not a good shot. It gives Russ Howard a chance to go around it, set up the possibility of 2. He's looking at the other side because he hates to go around a stone that's so tight, but I really think that.
I think you need to do that.
Hey, that looks easier. Which one's easier, do you think? His? Yeah.
Where are we going? What Tyson's
Well, yeah, I'll throw the intern.
Okay, he's going to play the intern and try and go around
Almost 5, eh?
the Newfoundland stone.
Isn't that strange, huh? But who cares about the numbers when you're first overall?
Hurry!
Got to be careful because it really moves off the center line. He doesn't want to raise that stone up.
Now they back off, and that's what I guess they're afraid of doing. And there it is, just into the top of the 12.
That's why he was kind of afraid to go that way and thought about going the other way, because it's the center line is the very dangerous area. If you get outside it, it holds on and hangs on it. When you get to it, it really walks across, and you saw what happened there.
No, remember, it's straight in the turn. But we, I don't want to be out in the open. I'll just try to get a half round anyway. Well, as long as we get in the line too. Yeah.
Well, Mark's first shot was not a good one. It gave Russ the opportunity to try and get around that, or he could have gone around with the out turn and tried to hang one on the edge of the 12-foot. That's what he was discussing, which one of the two was easier. He decided to go around the Newfoundland stone, and unfortunately it got off the center line, and he raised them in. So it's a chance for Mark Noseworthy to lie to in this situation. And you heard his comments. I want to get around that.
I'm thinking more, so it should hang on this side for the longest time.
He's got a nice clean release.
Wait on late, whoa!
What? You see the center line here, Vic? See how it's holding? Just not curling at all. So this is, and the curlers are all saying that this sheet C is the trickiest of all the sheets.
And that's where it stops. Center line, fully in the 12, biting the top of the 8, but it's wide open.
It's wide open, but you can see what Russ and Glenn are looking at. And if they hit it on the nose, are they going to be shot? I think they have to maybe get a little bit of a roll.
Well, the other night it bent right to here, remember? The 8th end.
See it from the front here. He's talking about what turn to play.
If you hit it pretty thick that way, you could probably go by one.
That's probably easier, man.
The intern?
Yeah. I can't see it crossing.
Oh, it's not going to cross. You get it there.
Well,
Where'd he throw it?
Where'd I beat you there? Where'd I take my last one?
Pretty close to that. Now you're in, yeah, about there.
Well, they're just discussing the turn, and this is one of those shots where you have to be precise. If you get outside, it'll go away for you, and if you ever turn it in, it'll move across the center line. So Glenn kind of thought he should throw the out turn at it, but Russ feels that he wants to throw the in turn, and he's throwing it. So you're certainly going to do what you feel if you're the guy throwing it. Here it is, the in turn hit for 1 point to tie this game up.
Great.
Final stone of the second end.
You can't climb over that center line. Looks pretty good to me. Looks like a good shot. He got it right on the center line, threw it quietly, hit for 1.
And there it is, and so we're all tied up. It is 1-1. Russ Howard has his rink on the board, trying to rebound from a loss this afternoon. It's 1-1. Welcome back, and let's get you caught up on some of the other scores in this 11th round of the 1987 Labatt Brier, New Brunswick, and PEI. And PEI trailing 1-0 as they play the second. Northern Ontario has opened a score and has taken a 1-0 lead over Saskatchewan. In the game we've been following, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1-1 Ontario and Newfoundland. The Territories has stolen 1 in the second on Quebec, and this is how they did it. The final stone of the Quebec skip, this is Kevin Adams, trying to peel off a couple of stones. Throws a lot of weight. His shooter will go, but that second Territory stone just hangs around on the edge of the 12, and it's a steal of 1, and Territories leads 1-0 playing the third. While they've blanked the second end, Manitoba continues to lead British Columbia 1-0 playing the third end.
Well, in our game, Kent Carstairs slipped his first rock in behind the tee line, and Mark Noseworthy got Robert Thomas to draw down to it, but it didn't quite get there. And as a result, Russ Howard is playing a out-turn hit. If he hits us on the touch on the outside, he can lie to. Look out.
Ray, as you are probably aware, and as many are, next year's Labatt Brier will be in Chicoutimi-Jonquière, Quebec. And joining us in the crowd of green jackets, among those from Chicoutimi-Jonquière, is the president of the organizing committee, Mr. Mike Carson. And we welcome you. It's Vic Rauter speaking with you, sir.
Hello, Vic.
Things are going
Ray.
well. Are you having a good time?
Well, this is, I think, the first time we've been able to see some of the curling this week, other than the opening ceremony.
So you're telling me you've been partying all that time? Is that what?
No. I think we're most of the group have been meeting their counterparts from the Edmonton organization.
Right. A lot to learn from these people. Do you learn from each other?
Oh, you do. I think we had a small group of something like 18 people in Kitchener-Waterloo last year.
Right.
And this year we're roughly 45 in the organizing committee.
Tell us a little bit about your city, for those of us who aren't aware of it or don't know it.
Well, our competition will be held in Chicoutimi-Jonquière, which is roughly 300 miles from Montreal, or 125 miles from Quebec City, up in the Saguenay Lake St. John region.
Let's just watch this stone. Stay with us, Mr. Carson. We appreciate you joining us as we watch a little more of this third end action of the 11th round of 1987 Labatt Brier.
Oh, there's a possible double. Good shot by Tim Belcourt. He gets the double, so he gets them out of a little bit of a hole.
C'est le camera. Camera, quand ça marche.
There's Tim Belcourt. Mike, the organizing committee, you've got a year to go now. What kind of preparations do you have to do?
Well, this is almost a 2.5-year process. Right now, we've got all our committees in place, essentially trying to recruit people here to come and see us next year.
And you were suggesting to me last night that you thought maybe it might be a nice vacation if you go see the Brier in Chicoutimi-Jonquière to maybe swing on over to Quebec City and make it a real holiday in Quebec.
Yeah, we're telling most of the people to maybe spend a couple days in Quebec City, either just before the Brier or maybe rest up thereafter.
And we want to give you a chance to maybe say hello to some folks at home, Mike.
Oui, j'aimerais, I'd like to say a few words in French to my friends in Quebec. J'aimerais dire saluer mes amis dans chaque région de la province. Je suis certain que vous allez répondre à notre invitation. Le Brier, c'est vraiment quelque chose.
Mike, thank you very much to you and your entire committee for joining us here in Edmonton. The best of luck in next year in the 1988 Labatt Brier.
Thank you, Vic.
All the best.
Well, we've got kind of an interesting situation that's set up here now, and Russ is lying one, and he's drawing to the front of the rings to lie to a kind of the garden stone that's in the back of the rings. That stone got there when Eugene Trickett was playing a hit that just kind of pushed it back into the rings as opposed to getting out of there. And Russ was playing a guard here. The line looks pretty good. You can see the stone that sits at the back of the 4-foot. That was put there by Eugene Trickett's stone that sits at the top of the 12-foot, just outside the 12-foot at the 11 o'clock position. So Mark walks up, takes a look at the angle. He'd like to spill them both off.
Don't overthrow it.
And the warning from Mark Noseworthy to Eugene, don't overthrow it.
After you throw the first one light like that, you have a tendency to really step up your weight on the next one. And if you do, they really, really drift. And this sheet is very, very tricky. See how it stays out? He can squirt this in too.
The shooter just does bite the top of the 12, but the shot stone, of course, is that one at the back of the 8 belonging to Ontario.
That's right. And Russ Howard will, he'll hit this with Glenn's first stone and try and remove it and just roll a little over in front of the stone that sits in the back of the 4-foot. He doesn't have last rock, so he wants to get out of there. He can get the job done. He can get the guard and get the stone removed at the same time with a good shot by Glenn.
This is the first stone of the third end for the Ontario third, Glenn Howard.
The They've already driven one back. And Kent made a double with the second one, so just wanted a little roll so it rolled over in front of the stone in the back of the 8-foot. It's wide open now for Mark. Randy Perry. This is the intern. Randy throws from a very exaggerated tuck delivery.
Well, with that handle way down and his thumb on it, looks a lot like Pat Ryan.
That's right, very similar. Here he comes, high on his toe, and now the release. He rolled it over, and it's going to curl once it gets to the center line. Look out.
Eugene Trickett, Robert Thomas working the brushes.
Going to get it by. Good brushing. Get this by. Oh. It's a great shot.
And right on top.
It's a good shot, and more importantly, I think it was great brushing because he seemed to start it over a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
It looked like he
Took about there, and he kind of threw it inside, outside in. It'll go there.
Okay.
This is Glenn's second shot. You heard his comment. It'll go there.
Yeah, he's saying
Back
though
12.
in
want
Russ
right here?
analyzing Eugene's throw, he said he threw it outside in.
Yeah, he kind of started it over. You know, he said, you know, he came outside and then sort of started it over. That's why it went right away. In other words, he slid out a little wide and started it over. Started curling immediately.
Okay. Because the
beyond,
difficulty has been all week, right, Ray? That the coming up over that center line has been difficult.
yeah, in some spots in this ice, you're almost better to turn it over, you know, because it won't curl otherwise. If you put them back on the straight turns, you're better off to turn them over, and on the curling turns, you're better off to put them back a bit. If you were, but the best thing to do is to throw them straight. He's got a good shot if they get it by. Has he got the weight, Vic? Has he got
Russ
the weight to
jumps
get
up
it there?
to help. Can they get it to the top of the board? What a shot by Glenn Howard.
Absolutely a terrific shot.
You're going to hit that and roll over. Yeah. But now you... What's that? Not much weight. No, jeez. Back line. Let the boys sweep and push it out. Any more than that, it won't come.
They really hammer this. Look at this brushing. Heads down. They just get this by. Absolutely great brushing. Now, you heard Mark Noseworthy's comments, and they're really, you know, Randy said, well, you know, I'll throw a little bit more weight. And Mark said, no. He said, no, don't do that. He said, if you do, it'll never come. Back ring weight is what he said, told him to throw. So let's see what happens here. Let's see if he puts them inside out, like Russ said. Here it is. Oh, pretty straight.
Yeah. Hurry! Hurry!
They've just started it a bit again. Seemed to go a little bit.
Randy Perry and his second stone.
Come on!
They got it by? I don't think so. Well, he had the right weight that Mark wanted, because Mark said just throw back ring weight. That's all he had. But he seemed to get it started over again a little bit, and it curled right out of his hand. Now, there's a situation, so if you're sitting in the Penetang Curling Club, what do you suggest? You could hit the...
That rock's safe.
Not real for that one, yeah.
Well, unless I miss the guard, totally makes a double for 3.
I don't like that bad.
There's a number of things you can do here. You can play the hit on the Newfoundland stone that sits at 11 o'clock at the 1 o'clock position in the 12-foot, roll over in front. You
Yeah,
could just play the straight guard.
Should stay right there, shouldn't it? Be nice to sit 3. Hey, nice to sit 3, eh?
No, I think what he's going to do is come down in this area, come down like so, and try and hit this one here, and sit right in this general area. You could play this shot here and roll over here like so. You could play the straight guard into this area here. The guard would be very dangerous. You just, you know, he's playing this out turn.
The first stone of this third in for Ontario and skip Russ Howard.
Just going to touch his back, I think.
Line him up. Come on.
You can see it now. It's a good shot right there. He was just playing to come down and sort of touch his own back, but it wasn't what.
Line is set up a pretty good foot, you know. I think.
As strong as he wanted.
Off the center here. Just off the center. A good weight. So I got to make sure I fill the top one. This one here I want to hit.
You don't think you need to bang that one out. All you need to do is get a foot in there.
Yeah, but it's more important. It's more important to get these two out first. If you get the back one, fine. Right there, they'll be awful close to getting that triple.
Actually, no, those two will make it play.
Yeah, but now, see, we got to watch it with the weight. If that falls back and go this way, or it draws back on our own.
Yeah.
So we got. Hey, with ice there. Straight, it should straighten out a bit. Even a bit less. Yeah.
What Russ wanted to do was just come down to the face zone, push it back onto the two stones at the back. It just was a little light, and they couldn't brush it because it was staying outside a bit. You heard Mark's comments. You know, if he wants to make sure he gets the two of them, but if he hits it right, he may be able to get the triple.
Yeah, I'm thinking I should waver back a bit. If it falls back, I know. If it falls back too much, we're going to go the other way and draw it back on our own. Yeah, I know. That's not good ice. That's not good ice.
It's coming back down the ice to take a look at it.
Not sure of the ice to take here.
That's not good ice there. That's not good ice. That ice follows is bad. I'll go right there. That's going to get back.
Oh, you want to take the other turn?
Oh no, the other turn's tricky to do going right down the center line. I don't know how much is going to come off it, especially with hit weight. I think it'd be safe for a shot to try it.
Well, we know that it will curl off the line, so why don't you just take the line?
No, if you get on the line and it falls off. Okay, now you know where you got to hit it.
He told us exactly what he's going to do. He's going to try and, you know, he's going to change the turn. He didn't like the out turn. He's going to play the in turn and try and make the double.
Guys, let's go get him.
If you get it properly, hit it properly, you might even be three, and he doesn't want to hit it too thick. He'll drive it back onto his own.
Are you going to curl some? I'm not sure how much.
In turn hit.
Yep. Yes. Whoa. Yeah. Hooray. Hooray. Whoa.
It's really moving now. Good shot. I don't know who's shot rock between those two rocks in the 12-foot. I think Russ thinks he is.
Can't high-side it. Take a look at those.
Wants to hit this right on the nose, just pass it by without taking out that rock sitting at the 6 o'clock position in the 8-foot. He wants to hit it. They're looking at the two rocks in the 12-foot, and
I think so. He's just looking at it. I think we are.
oh, there it is. Great. So if he hits this and he can lie three, it's a little
no normal
weight.
Back up that much, eh?
He's taking on the inside of the rock and throwing the out turn. So you heard him say it'll back up that much. It's got the nice soft weight. It really runs straight down here.
Oh, nice. Now, will it stop in time?
Well, it curled a little bit, so whose shot out of these two is going to make a big difference. It's either a hit for 1 or a hit for 2 from Mark Noseworthy.
A lot of handle and everything.
Everybody else is fell though.
That's just, I was afraid to sweep that. I barely hit it.
Well, Mark's going to hit this. He wants to hit it on the nose, and then they'll probably measure the other 2 stones. It's really difficult to tell who shot on those 2 rocks from the 12-foot.
Just by knee weight come down
One
the
at
line.
9:30 and one at 1:30. It's almost impossible for us to tell.
Take our 1.
Take our 1. So I think Mark thinks that that the Ontario stone is shot as well. You heard his comment. And Russ certainly feels that way. So he thought he could have hit that and laid 3. This really rides out this rock. You got to be careful.
Will it come back now, Ray?
It's starting to. Russ has moved a little bit in there. No, sir, it just didn't come.
It won't now. Who's shot?
Well, they'll probably measure this.
Now there's that center ice again, huh?
Yeah, that spot. You know, Russ Howard was really surprised that his rock moved.
So they've called for a measurement, and it's either...
No, they haven't.
No, they're going to give it to... Yes,
Ontario
Glenn
gets
Howard
1.
says it's a shot for Ontario, and so a steal of 1 here for Ontario in the 3rd end on the missed opportunity by Newfoundland. When we come back, we'll go to the 4th. Ontario leads 2-1.
I thought I was drawing from Brier.
Raw, power, electrifying, Steppenwolf.
Born to be
The ultimate collection, Steppenwolf. Rock.
Welcome back, and as we bring you up to date, you can see Manitoba has stolen 1 in the 3rd inning to lead BC. 3rd inning in the 3rd end to lead BC 2-0, and this is how they got it. Bernie Sparks, his final stone, he's got to draw the 4-foot. There is 1 red stone or 1 yellow stone at the back of the 4-foot. You see it there? That belongs to Manitoba. They can't get it there, so it's a steal of 1 and a 2-0 lead for Manitoba over Bernie Sparks in BC. Right next door, Quebec has scored 2 in the 3rd end to take a 2-1 lead on the Terriers. Final stone, Kevin Adams and his Montreal rink needs the hit and stay on that yellow stone belonging to the Territories right there. So it's 2-1 for Quebec over Territories as they play the 4th end. In the game we've been focusing on, or there, New Brunswick leading PEI 2-1 as they play the 4th. Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario tied 1-1 in the 3rd. And in the game that we've been featuring, Ontario with that steal in the 3rd leads Newfoundland now 2-1 as we go to the 4th end.
Well, I'll set this end up for you. Kent Carstairs through his first stone, out turned to the top of the button, and Robert Thomas hit it, rolled to the 8 o'clock position in the 12-foot, and Kent threw an out-turn hit and stuck on the nose, and you're now seeing Robert Thomas' 2nd shot, hitting that stone that's in the 12-foot, and it's just hanging out. It'll come a bit at the end, as you can see, and there's the hit. Not a lot of weight, though, is it?
No, not at all.
I think that's a bit of a surprise to Mark Noseworthy. I mean, he they're having a great time down there. Back at home, I can tell you, I don't think that Mark wanted it quite that soft. And Russ and he had a kind of a little chuckle about it. Look at the ice that they're taking for this outturn, and here's a great indication of how the ice is running.
This will be the first stone for Tim Belcourt.
When you fall back that much, he's just going to catch a corner, I think, and get it out of there.
He does. He just picks it out, and the shooter goes as well.
Well, Mark was playing a hit on the last one, but I think he's going to just freeze down to the face of this now. And it's a good opportunity. He's got last rock, and he's down 1 point, so he'll use this stone by laying up to it, freezing up to the face of it.
Eugene Trickett, the Newfoundland 2nd, and his first shot.
Gino. Good looking shot too. Look at this here. Oh, what a shot. It can be squeezed out, but you're going to have to hit it properly. You can see where the brush is right now. You might think he'd be playing an in turn, but he's playing an out turn. He's going to play. He's taking on the inside of the rock, playing an out turn. Tim will have to keep his weight up. He got it outside a little bit just as he released it. He's certainly not going to hit it on the wrong side. He had to hit it on the nose or a little bit on the other side, the center line side. So good chance for Mark. He'll just spread him around now, draw to the open side to lie to.
This Newfoundland rink has been here before. Mark Noseworthy was a skip in the 1982 Brier. That was in Brandon, Manitoba. Eugene Trickett and his second stone.
Got the good weight. Looks like a pretty good shot to me. Russ will just try and hit this and roll over towards the center. He's going to play the curling turn, the out turn. This is brother Glenn. You know, Russ wants this game very badly because otherwise he drops down into that group of teams with 3 losses, Vic. The out turn hit, Glenn Howard.
The Ontario third, Glenn Howard.
Anywhere on the outside. Here it comes.
Real hard. Hooray. Come on.
Boy, it just moved across, didn't it?
Right on the nose. No roll at all.
It's a good shot. You force Newfoundland to play it. Now Mark's taking less ice than Russ did, so obviously, and it's been a tendency of Randy to throw more weight than that, so certainly more than we just saw from Glenn Howard. So Randy's going to throw a little more weight.
This is the first stone of the 4th end for the Newfoundland third. Randy Perry with Ontario leading 2-1.
Come on. Hooray. Hooray. Hooray.
Look at it move.
It's going to roll out.
It is, and will the raised stone go out as well? It does.
Well, you know, he threw about the same weight as Glenn, and as a result, and Mark had given him a little less ice. And that's a very big part of this game. You've got to be consistent with your weight and make sure that your skip.
I gave Tim there, and you'd be lucky to get by this one.
We'll kind of listen to.
That's what that big swing is like.
Try and listen to Russ. The broom is just a guideline for the weight you're going to throw, Vic. So you got to make sure that you know what the weight is.
All the curlers really, well, impressed, I guess, or surprised with the amount of curl and the swing in the ice.
Well, everybody I talk to really likes it. They're finding it tricky, but that's what's making it entertainment. You know, I mean, if it was the ice that in the last few years has been far too straight in curling, without the corn brooms involved in the game anymore, you just don't get any work out of the ice, so you can't hide stones, and it makes for a very boring game. I'll tell you what, it makes our job tough. This has been fun this week because we've seen lots of rocks in play, and we saw tricky ice last week in Lethbridge.
You want to play down to him? You want to play down?
No, better. Down here.
It's tight out there.
It is. It really is.
By that he means it's heavy out there, isn't it?
Looks like you're rolling.
So what does that do to the stones then? Is it just the fact that it slows them up? You have to
Well, you got to
throw them a little heavier?
Just got to throw them harder out there. That's all. That's what Russ meant when he said to Glenn, it's tight out there, isn't it?
Huh?
It's a little heavier out there. Got to keep your weight up.
Randy Perry. His second stone, throwing at a couple of Ontario stones in the house.
We talked about freezing down to them, but no, he wanted to hit them. He can split the hole, get the double here, right in the crotch. There it is, bang, bang. And he stays in the 12-foot.
Never easy in this ice.
Here it is, into the crotch. You heard Mark say they're never easy in this ice. A good shot, though, by Randy.
A lot of straw. I think mine picked coming down this way.
Wife Vicky at home watching with sons Christopher and Nicholas. Shot. Out there on the sides, it's, you know, it really has been consistent, and they know exactly what it does, and it stays the same way. The area that gets a little tricky is when you just get about a foot or so off the center line on each side of the ice, and that's where it starts to get a little bit tricky. We've had a lot of fun in that area of the ice. Fun for you and I, not so much fun for some of those guys.
Knee puts a bit. Run pretty straight down there, right?
It's only the 4th inning, isn't it, Vic?
Oh, God.
I'll never let you forget that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Turnbull. Yes. The first stone for Mark Noseworthy and the Newfoundland skip here in the 4th inning.
Good shot, and he had just over hack weight, and you can see how straight it ran down there. No explanation needed here. You can see the broom if you've been following this game with us. He'll throw it light bumper weight, out turn. Just can't get it outside or it won't come.
The final stone for Russ Howard here in the 4th inning. And he sits right on the tee line.
Well, I was looking there. Be a little bit to the side. Yeah. I'll up my weight a little bit. Not much, don't worry.
This is kind of like a replay, isn't it? Same shot over and over. They haven't moved off that spot.
Happy with one here, Ray, or would he like to split it off and roll out and blank?
No, he wants to blank the end for sure. But he'll get the hit first.
I'm gonna a little bit less ice. Up the weight a bit. It doesn't seem to float. Doesn't seem to float too much. As long as you don't flick it outside. Yeah. As long as you don't flick it outside, it'll be all right.
As Kevin Adams says, take it away. A little more weight. He wants to roll it out. Gonna be close. He got it. Good shot.
So when we come back after that blank, it will remain Ontario 2 and Newfoundland 1.
Burt Reynolds in the role you've been waiting for. Heat.
Well, I've been knocked down, blown up, shot at. I lectured on economics at Yale. I was National Golden Gloves champion 3 years in a row, and I'm fluent in 4 languages.
Well,
don't interrupt me, I'm not through.
There's more.
Yeah, my Lyle.
If you need protection, Nick Escalante is your man.
His specialty is edged weapons. I suspect Nicholas is the most lethal man alive. We'll put you in emergency.
Don't mess with these guys. Nobody can do what you can do.
You mean get people killed?
You gotta do it.
He's on an edge you've never seen before.
Want to know how long it's going to take you to die? I'll give you a hint. Think in days.
Heat.
Starts Friday at a selected theater near you. Check your local listings.
Final stone of the fourth end for New Brunswick and skip Gary Mitchell out of Thistle St. Andrew. He gets the draw and he'll count 3. And so now it is 5-1. New Brunswick leading Prince Edward Island in a must-win situation for PEI. Northern Ontario has jumped out to a 4-1 lead on Saskatchewan. They're playing the 4th. In our game, after the blank of 4, they'll go to 5 with Ontario leading 2-1. The Territories have come back with 2 in the 4th and now lead Quebec 3-2. And look at this. Bernie Sparks has exploded for 4 in the 4th. And for BC and Skip Sparks, it was a free draw. He just needed to hit the 4-foot. And there it is. Just like that, he counts 4 and takes a 4-2 lead over Manitoba, playing the 5th end.
Okay. Kent Carstairs put his first stone right behind the 4-foot. Robert Thomas hit it and stayed, and this is the situation we're looking at right now. Kent is playing a takeout with his second shot, and there it is. Hit and stick. Robert Thomas's second stone, 5th end. Ontario up 2-1. Neither team have really made any strong offensive move. They'll play, I guess, a little bit this way, but pretty soon one of them will have to go after it. And Mark is the team that's down now, so he's going to have to maybe sooner or later, and he's maybe making a little move right now by just freezing up to the stone, trying to use that stone in the 4-foot for a little backing. Robert Thomas comes up a little bit short. Chance for Russ Howard to hit it. He's going to play the out turn at it. Straight turn and roll. He'd like to roll just onto the center line.
The Ontario second, Tim Belcourt, and his first stone playing this 5th end. Ontario leading 2-1.
Hurry hard!
Got a little inside, it looks like, as they jumped on it right away. He's going to miss it.
Now, they tap that counter in the back out of the rings, and the shooter is fully exposed just at the back of the 4.
Well, it's a good chance for, once again for Mark to, to lie to, and he has the advantage of last rock. They, Tim must have thrown it inside because they jumped on it right away.
Back for it.
It's that kind of thing that makes the sport so tremendous, Dick. The camaraderie between, not only your team members, but, among the participants. There's a great respect. These players have great respect for each other, and there's very little, hard feelings shown.
Eugene Trickett.
They'll spend lots of times after the games talking and socializing, and that's one of the things about the sport that really is tremendous, I feel. Russ
gets the hit and he stays right there. That's all right.
He's looking to play the hit and roll behind that front rock.
Tim Belcourt, second shot.
In turn, it's a straight turn. He threw it a little inside again because they jumped on it again. They're really brushing it. He just got a corner of it. He threw it inside. You could just see they jumped on it immediately. Out turn draw. Now Mark's just going to play the guard. He's going to guard the stone he has in the rings, but it looks a little bit like Eugene may have thrown it a little harder than he wanted. As opposed to splitting the rings on line 2, he's playing the corner guard, trying to protect the stone that's in the rings. He'll do that 2 or 3 times. Unfortunately, it stays out. You can see it here. Just about, you can see it now. Good shot there. You can see about half the stone. This is the curling turn. It'll sit on the center line for a little.
Like
when I say that, we'll listen to Russ. There it is. He's got the brush right on the center line.
Taking it to the other side.
She's talking about the weight. They're trying to establish the weight. How much weight you want. Glenn says you want a little more. There it is. Now it'll sit on this center line, and as soon as it gets off, it'll start to move. Here it goes. There it goes.
Real hard. Oh.
Now I don't know if Russ wanted a little more weight than that or not, because he seemed to throw it very straight. And Mark's going to guard this. This is something for, you know, people to make note of. Those of you that are, you know, trying to maybe utilize these programs for a little bit of strategy, you know, education. You could split the other side on line 2, and a lot of teams, you know, will do that. In this case, what Mark is doing, he's going to just protect it. This is Randy's first shot. He'll probably protect it this time, and if he gets it protected well, and Russ runs it off, and he may draw to the open side with his next one, and then all he has to do is exchange shots for 2 stones, and he can pick up his deuce. You can see it now. I think a corner is showing again, but it may be a little better cover than it was last time. Now you can see about half the stone. There it is. Once again, the thing that Mark is doing that's good is that he's forcing Russ and Glenn to play this center line. And this time they've got the broom just a little bit outside the edge of the center line. And if Glenn ever gets a little bit outside, it'll never come.
This is the second stone for the Ontario third.
Here. You got to watch the brushing, otherwise it'll back off a bit. He's throwing a little more weight. He's got pretty good direction too, I think.
Got it by this time?
Yes, sir, he has. There it is.
And he's able to pick it off, and the shooter will roll out as well.
This is going to be a fun shot, and once again, if you're watching the ice along with this and at home, let's watch where it takes and watch how it runs.
What do you think?
What they're talking about here is that it may be easier to play the raise, and I think they're right. Play the straight turn, the out turn, and just tap it back. Because there's so much, the center line is so difficult. If you get it outside, it hangs out, Vic, and yet if you turn it inside, you know, it really ducks.
Ray, we just saw the final stone for Saskatchewan and Don Gardner of the Lemberg Curling Club in the third end. In the fourth end, pardon me, and he just threw up a Hail Mary. He had to raise 3 or 4 rocks, couldn't get it there. Steal of 1 by Northern Ontario, and they now lead. It is 5-1.
After a cruel delay, he's back in 9.